you will be liable for.
And if I say it twice, it's reliable.
Why is it always in reverse?
Or I better put my phone off. Phone off.
That would be. Left to the left. Oh, do me a favor, just stand over there to the right. Okay, so that's we've got that distance there. And so our special guest can stand in the middle. Yes, you look wonderful. We got makeup artists, we got hair artists. How you doing, folks? We are live. Let's just. All right, we're going live in like now. All right, so actually we earlier. Yeah, you can. Yep. Okay, just take over there. I'm just testing where the thing is. All right. Okay, so you can stand here. You'll be still in shot. Not you.
Yeah.
So you can stand here when you. Or you want to take the end. Yeah, all right. It's up to you. All right. It's right. Uh, okay. How we doing, folks? How are you? Once again, uh, what's today's date?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Listen, when you come to
18th?
class, remember that's the first thing you're asked: the date and the time and the place and the location.
Okay. So
Uh,
what is the date?
I think it's the 15th today.
15th?
Right. And what day is it?
15th?
Day.
Day. Oh, the day is Thursday. It's always Thursday. We always meet on a Thursday.
And what time is it? You reckon?
I think it's nearly 2 o'clock.
Yeah, it's actually half one.
Half one. Well, we're early. Okay, Patrick, let's get going.
No, not yet. Where are we?
Where are we? We're in Finsbury Park, folks. In the great Finsbury Park.
Yeah, what's the temperature like?
The temperature's cool, baby. It's real cool. There's a cool breeze. It's not too hot. It's perfect. It's how the summer should be.
All right. The average today is going to be about 23 degrees. The
Lovely.
maximum is going to be 27. And the sun is coming in now.
Yep. And if it's this temperature at the Notting Hill Carnival, it will be wonderful.
Or even hotter. More sunshine.
Hotter means, hot. Yeah, but it could be a bit hotter, but not too hot. That means too strenuous, too hot.
And before we go into our opening, what has been the temperature like in the last few days?
Boiling hot. Really, it's been the highest. The hottest day this year was on Monday, and Sunday was following that. It was very hot, hotter than probably as hot as the Caribbean, hotter than Southern Europe, and unbearable.
Yeah, it was around 30.
There was emergency heat.
Right.
You
It was
know,
around.
heat stroke.
Yeah, it was around 31.
Heat stroke. Right?
So how did you handle it?
Well, I just stayed inside. I watched some YouTube videos and just tried to stay cool. Keep putting my head in water.
Okay, that's a good way.
I didn't do anything really until the day after.
It is good if one can All right. So yeah. All right. So yeah. Okay. We'll put a time and date on that some other time. Yeah. Right. So Monday. What temperature did we have on Monday?
What is the 30 centigrade or something?
All right. Very clever guy. You listen to what I'm saying.
Very hot.
So it was the hottest day in the year so far.
Yeah.
And so how did you survive it?
Well, I stayed inside. Normally I can handle the sun fairly well,
Mm.
but I knew it was dangerous because I felt it burning me and I felt it giving me a headache. So I stayed inside, and yeah, I didn't move around a lot. I just drank lots of water.
So what do you recommend to people who who don't know how to handle the heat? Because I'm sure they say a lot of people.
Wear a hat, take lots of water,
Mm.
and when it gets very hot, stay in the shade.
They can hear. What are you gonna be doing with those bricks? North London Hospice events host. You guys, where is it happening? In the stadium? Is it happening in the stadium? You see, it's the same thing with Liz Truss.
Oh, this trust lettuce woman. Yes. So, is it? I didn't know Donald Trump ate lettuce, but maybe Elon Musk likes lettuce. You know, is he vegetarian? Does he eat lettuce or carrot and
Anyway,
tomato?
back to how you people advice for people to keep sorry, to keep cool, you know, and how to not stay hot when you have people like that go past. Things you know the I'm the boss, and you know
No, I don't think anything of it. It's nothing. It's
I do
nothing.
I do
These are very small things.
no these
Look, I travel
mm,
right today on a London bus,
mm,
and every travel on the London bus
mm,
is a mental health express.
mm.
That's it. So have I got? Am I going to tell you about the latest argument? Will we have any time for anything else? Did it have any meaning? Have I remembered it? Is it going to run my life? Am I a Daily Mail reader? Do I need to do I need to rant and complain about everybody that's looked at me sideways?
Did you shut the front door? Did you
Um,
leave the iron on?
did
Did you turn the water off on the tap?
you water on the tap? Have you cleaned your shoes? Did you brush your teeth?
You'll never leave your house.
Have you have you made sure you've been to the toilet so that you don't pass wind later and annoy people? Yeah. These are the things. These are the things that all petty-minded people need to remind themselves and other people of on a second by second basis.
Yeah, you see, very important was the character of that person that just passed us. And these leaders of industries. Oh, there's more coming.
Yeah, but the thing is, let's focus on some of the serious issues that are happening at the moment.
There's an owl coming.
Yeah, I'd like to know
Yeah.
right, why why the Elon Musk is really not been put in prison for stirring up racial hatred. I mean, that's what I'd like to know. And by can he do it again? And is he in preparation to do the same thing in America? Right, because it'll be a lot worse than it is been here. This is very serious. It's died down, but it just it was horrendous.
Mm.
And now we're left with some horrendous poverty. So we've still got the poverty, but we've got that bitter feeling.
No, they got enough space.
They've got plenty of space here.
but they haven't got much control. That's the thing.
No. Oh, wait a minute. Give it a hand. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. No, there's nothing. Look, try not. Don't. You know, I mean, it's one of these distraction days. Don't get distracted. Try to focus.
I'm focused,
Yeah.
right? But back to Elon Musk and back
Yeah.
to the characters we have. Look, there's a fundamental and deep psychological thing about certain people and how they manage people, right? It is very important, and it's also part of the problems we have in society at the moment. You know.
I mean, they're a small minority of people, and they represent a small minority. But okay, they're very powerful, and they're very loud mouths,
Mm.
and they're given lots of airspace. Even if it's from a negative viewpoint, they've still given lots of airspace, and they squeeze the rest of us out, and the few of us who are left who are being positive, and I think we represent the majority, right? The 99% have only, you know, because we haven't got a tuppence to rub together, we're left with things like this, which is it's a very sort of narrow cast, whereas they have a broadcast of the traditional media and this stupid social media.
Yeah.
And you know, it's amazing.
All right. So you're back on to the Elon Musk things.
I mean, the man said.
Shall we tell them this way?
I don't understand.
No, shall I tell them this way? This way is the shortest route.
No, just leave them to their own devices. They know what to do.
Yeah, because they're going around to the stadium. This is where this idiot should have told me where they were going.
Look, you know, can we get onto Elon Musk?
Yeah, this is also in relation to Carnival. This is also in relation to Finsbury Park. Yeah, because we're here.
I think I'm glad you brought up Carnival, Notting Hill Carnival.
Yeah.
No school assembly. Right now, I think the Carnival will be very, very positive this year. I think it's an amazing, because not only will it be an antidote to the far right thuggery, but it'll actually bring it all into focus. That really the majority of people are actually having fun. Well, it'll show us in stark contrast between the right and extreme right, who even when they're not thuggish are nasty and vicious and negative, and the left, right, who are portrayed as that being that, but in actual fact are very positive, like we've seen in the Palestinian marches that were completely peaceful. In fact, the week before the Tommy Robinson's Trafalgar Square escapade, and his later concocted, you know, terrorist riots, right, which failed. Actually, the Palestinian march wasn't even mentioned, and it was very peaceful. Not one arrest. So really, the Carnival, right? I'm sure they'll concoct some arrests, you know, and some of them might be valid. But the fact is, within the millions of people that will be there, it'll be a tiny percentile, not 0.07%. So what, 5 or 6 or 10 or something, 10 people arrested, and they'll try to blow up out of proportion. But people won't fall for it anymore because it'll be very positive. In fact, I saw a sign up for a Rock Against Racism float, so we haven't had that since the 70s, the Anti-Nazi League, and that'll be going on. That'll be something to look out for at the Carnival.
That I remember.
That's fantastic.
Rock Against Racism.
Yes, and it'll be part of the Carnival, and I think it'll be an important part. Now, we need to mention it because, of course, it'll be deliberately avoided, right? In the reporting of the Carnival, because the reporting will either be very negative or it will be very facile. It'll be it'll be like a very a fun folk carnival, which is a bit like the sort of minstrel show, where people are just happy, but there's no thought behind it.
All right.
I'm not saying that there wasn't any thought behind the minstrel show, because it was very well constructed and created. It was brilliant, in fact. But I'm just talking about the stereotype that is going to be pushed into our brain boxes.
You see, on professional broadcast radio, before we had those two television stations. Oh, actually, they dropped it off. Before we had those two television stations, one has gone. Is not broadcasting on digital, so you can't get it on TV, but it's gone on the internet. Before we had that, every single year after the carnival, we had a professional DJ come on early in the morning on one of those radio stations. And what he does it do? Ban the carnival every year, right? Right? 10 people get arrested, ban the carnival,
Ban the
right?
carnival.
He's probably preparing his thing, right?
Don't ban the carnival. No, don't stop the carnival.
You'll
No,
never
don't
get
ban
it.
the carnival.
You'll
Dun,
never
dun,
get another one. Yeah.
Oh, don't ban.
Something on the flames. On the flames, yeah. Now, you come on to a subject whereas these hate channels, right? We got broadcasters who specifically specialize in just being racist. Every angle, every time there's a subject, they're just racist about
like
it.
what's it? UK News and it's further right TV news.
Right.
I've
Now,
even got it on my new digital radio, but I've never listened to it. I
right.
listened to it once, I think. It made me feel ill.
Now, those stations are the proper gators of what caused the problem last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, but also the culture war, which the Tories and far right together in unison pumped up bit by bit, and that's why the rioters were shouting "Stop the boats." They didn't know where would they get that idea from. Take our country back. It's basically we've had 14 years of this from the Tories, and it's turned into a crescendo. And they called it a culture war, or maybe it was called a culture war. They called an attack on political correctness and what have you, anti-trans and anti-migrant, anti-foreigner.
Look,
Brexit.
what I'm actually saying, those stations should be off the air.
Oh
right?
yeah,
Those two
definitely.
stations should be off the air. These are racist stations with racist propaganda.
Yes, racist propaganda.
Every angle they can take, which is negative,
yes.
right? They
Especially
perpetrate.
GB News.
They're there.
Nigel Farage's
Exactly.
news.
They're
Nigel
there
Farage news.
perpetrating and
that Greek guy,
propagandizing.
Papadopoulos.
Right.
There was a Greek, that man that owned Frankopoulos, right? Who owns it, some maniac.
Yeah, they're both in debt. Both those stations are in debt. That's why one is off.
Now, anybody else who's in debt, they're bankrupt. Right? For working class people to be in debt, they're finished. If they bought a house, the next stop is to have a tent and have everything taken off them. Debt, in fact, and even debtor's prison if they can't pay the debt off. But basically, so now we know that there's right-wing radio stations and television stations that are in debt, but they're getting money from somewhere, and they're allowed to be in debt.
What does
Write
right wing?
it off.
What does right wing mean?
Well, but I think it's to do with the French Revolution and where the people sat in the new People's Assembly.
That was
the new
then.
assembly.
What
That
does
was
it
then.
mean now? It means you're racist.
Racist, fascist, yes.
You hate foreigners.
Yes, but also it means you hate unions and extreme authoritarianism, and that's not what's being mentioned. You see, fascism is a threat to the working class, and racism is used by the right wing, the conservatives, and the different forms of sort of right wing authoritarians to actually divide the working class. That's what where if anybody reads their Karl Marx, that's the number one thing, right, to take away.
So when they divide the working class,
Yeah,
how do they use that?
they do what they use superficial things like skin color, which is basically having to go through this to re-educate our listeners once again about the melanin under the skin, which has no meaning whatsoever, which responds to the sunlight, and it is used. Yeah, it is and superficial nonsense like that, phenotypes, right? Rather than genotype, but phenotype. Ideas like that are used and were created, I think, in Cambridge about scientific racism, pseudoscience, and which is being used along with religion, along with sexuality and gender, and any nonsense, and anything can be whipped up at the time to create a division. In much in the way that football politics was created by Franco to actually keep his authoritarian rule. So he actually managed to whip up antagonism between one region and another region, and now it's become worldwide.
Is there a university you can go to study this?
Uh,
Who are the preachers of this? Isn't there one friend of Donald Trump who's now in prison?
Bannon, Steve Bannon.
Yeah, tell
Yeah.
me about Bannon. What's his
Was
speciality?
it named or something? Well, bigotry. He's just a loudmouth bigot, isn't
No,
he?
he's an advisor.
Advisor, yeah.
Yeah, but that means what you're saying in the subject. He
Well,
teaches
he
it.
made he made a tour around Europe under Johnson period.
Mm.
He was touring around Europe, talking to the far right so-called populists, which is a word I don't really like to use anymore, in all around Europe and elsewhere.
All right. On that extremist thing, let me just go.
Basically reactionary. These are the words we should be using. Reactionary,
Let me go.
meaning reacting against the modern world.
Let me go to Iceland, and then we had the guy in New Zealand. It was the critical race theory.
Yeah,
Do you remember? And the guy in is it Petrovic, Iceland? Remember he shot
yeah. No, Norway.
Norway.
Anders Breivik.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
he got his ideas from the social media and great replacement theory.
Great replacement. Have you read it?
I looked at the.
Have you got copies
I
of
looked at the video of it, and I couldn't stomach it for more than a few minutes. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
What's it called? The Great Replacement
The
Theory.
theory. I mean, I can't. I mean, there's no point in more than 2 minutes of it. I did try.
I've got copies of it. Right?
Yeah.
The whole
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Now, does that make me a terrorist?
Mm, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Right. So that's
Yeah. Yeah,
whatever the guy's name.
I see where you're
Right.
coming from.
What about the guy in New Zealand who did the same thing? Remember with the mosque? Was it with the mosque and thing? He had the same critical race theory thing behind what he did. You remember that one?
Well, the thing is, right, for instance, say there were some people wanted to squat a house. They're squatting it legally, right?
Yeah.
And because it's legal, right, the owner wants them out to make some money. It might have been standing empty for a long time,
Mm.
but the owner wants to make some money, right?
Mm.
But the owner is told, like legally, is told by the police that
Mm.
no, you can't evict them. They have put a Section 6 in the window, and it's legal,
Mm.
right? So that's the end of that. So what does he do? He goes and he pays some thugs some money,
Mm.
right? And they go and do extrajudicial attacks on them.
Mm.
They go and terrify them to get them out, using either direct violence or threats of violence.
Mm.
And I think that stirring up that Elon Musk has done has been extrajudicial.
But it didn't work, did it?
No, because most people aren't that stupid. The people who did the thuggery were made a lot of noise and scared a lot of people, but there are only very few, and they didn't know what aim they actually wanted. What do they want? Do they want to have a coup take over the
No,
KKK country?
they wanted a Greg sandwich. I'm making a joke as
Greg
those
sandwich.
those that broke in and had the into Greg.
They haven't got good taste. Basically, right? if they wanted a vindaloo or they wanted a korma, now you're talking.
Yeah,
But Greg sandwich.
yeah, but they scared the
No, look. I'm sorry, I'm being offensive to Greg. I like Greg's. It's great.
yeah.
Greg is great.
And what do all those people have on Friday night? Not fish and chips. What's the great it's this dish?
Chips and fish,
No, no, curry.
curry.
You know, it's the number one dish in England. Not fish and chips.
Yeah.
Ah, you didn't know that, did you?
I do know that. I pretended I didn't because I wanted to pretend to be sophisticated.
All right, let me go over to
I want to be a devil's advocate for no reason whatsoever.
let me go over to Farage. Have you heard the latest of what the Conservative has done to him?
What have they said? He's a naughty boy. He's a naughty boy.
They won't have him nowhere near the Conservative Party.
That won't last for long. That's hilarious. Because if the tide turns again, they'll have him back again. They're stuck.
I hate this left, right, and center sort of argument, but guess what? I'm going to play it right now. So what I heard the Conservative spokesman said was that the British public or British voting public is literally center, the center guy, not center right, not center left. So politically, you got to go for the center. Nigel Farage is extreme right.
Extreme right.
Right. So it's no use having somebody who only going to get the fringes. Right. You got it. This is exactly what.
But Nigel Farage's language is what they were using in the last 5 years. In fact, since Brexit, ever since Brexit, they've used his language. In fact, they went so far to the right. They actually promoted Farage by actually talking his language. This small boats thing is shared by him and them. The only what is it that the only thing they don't share is about Ukraine. Everything else they share. They shared about the anti-woke. They shared about the anti-transgender. They shared about they haven't mentioned abortion, but I'm sure that the Tories don't really like it very much, and Nigel Farage takes the Trump view on it. I mean, the thing is, these are all reactionaries, right? So it's a strange, little game they're playing. What all they've ranted Farage language in the last couple of years, and it's gone to a crescendo.
Right.
Bring back national service is out of Farage's playbook.
And so how did that work out for the Conservative?
Well, it didn't, because it didn't appeal, because people were suffering with poverty. They wanted the inflation to be taken down, right? Here, America, and everywhere else. They actually wanted council housing so that they wouldn't have to wait for 50 years. They wanted a proper transport system. They wanted, and especially a medical system, which they wouldn't have to wait for years in pain, and they want a dental system. I mean, they wanted schools. Which
keep on talking. Yeah,
this is what they wanted.
Lola, those are friends of mine.
Anyway, I'm on my own now. Well, how can I carry on? I don't know. Right. So,
Justin.
Anyway,
I got a friend who wants to say hello.
As I was saying before I was so politely interrupted,
the far right center.
Far right center, yeah.
All right. So the thing I was going to say about Britain is that
it's a capitalist society where there's huge divisions between rich and poor.
No, where they would have you follow a certain path and have you believe, and then at the right time they would just drop you.
Yes, but let's go back to basics. Capitalism uses racism, not the other way round, right? It's first and foremost a capitalist society, right? If it was a pure purely racist society, Enoch Powell would have never have gone to the Caribbean and asked for a post-war labour force. It's because he's actually more of a manipulator
Yeah.
for the capitalist system, which he makes his wealth and power from.
So Farage
And
and
Farage
Enoch
would have
Power.
done the same thing if Farage was in the Conservative government,
Yeah.
right, and there was a labour shortage, he would go over to anywhere where he didn't like and ask those people very politely to come over and fill in the labour shortage.
All right. So Farage and Enoch
Because
Power.
that's what he'd be paid for.
Farage and Enoch Power. So which party did they used to represent?
The Conservative Party.
And
Like Mosley, he was in the Conservative Party.
and doesn't people realize up to today?
No. Yeah, in fact, UKIP was a tiny separate party run by a man called Alan Sked, right? And who's still feeling embittered at the way he was just booted out of it, and it was taken over by Farage when who tried to make a play for the further right, because he thought the Conservative Party was getting too liberal, quote unquote.
And now they call it reform.
Yeah, they could call it all sorts of things. It's a private company, which I found out that the EDL is as well.
Yeah.
A private company. It's not a political party. It's a private company.
And so they were burning down.
I don't know if it had shareholders, but it would surprise me.
Yeah. So we had a riot, and they were burning down hotels, burning down police cars.
But now listen to this. What kind of riot by local people at local grievances, like the one that happened in Tottenham or Brixton or somewhere else, or Handsworth or something? What kind of would those working class sort of rioters, right? And that certainly not all of them are not very nice people, but I don't think any of them would burn down a library and a food bank and an asylum hostel.
They did, didn't they? Yeah.
No library, no.
No, they didn't. No.
Banks they burnt down.
Oh, you mean back in the
They're
Tottenham
back
riot?
to the right. These were called, hang on, a far right. It's very strange. The attacks were anti-socialist, anti-working class. These people, these either were useful idiots or it was deliberate far right thugs who believed in burning books, right? Just like their master in the 1930s did, or like the Taliban do.
How did
Their other master.
How did we come up with this name, plebs?
Plebeian. It's from the Roman, isn't it? It's used as an insult. It's a shortening of the word plebeian because they were. I'm not sure.
Was there a
exactly
time
where
in history where
society.
people were burning books because they thought it was violent, evil, and
Well, it happened during the Inquisition, and it happened during the many witch hunting times, during the religious wars. It's what religious fundamentalists have done for generations.
so what was the foundation of all these riots? What was one of the key things that they were protesting about?
It was a mixture of things. I don't think there was a key thing.
All right,
I think there were a mixture of things. I think the main instigators were actually extreme racists.
Right.
And as we saw in the attempt to murder those asylum seekers in their hostel, that was extreme.
Sound just like that lawyer who said the guy being stamped on the head. He says it was an attempted assassination. Anyway, he had jumped the case now, and that case is still. They've arrested. The latest I heard was like today. They've arrested 4 people on afraid charges, but I have heard nothing said about the police officer, right? Who
Stanton, yes, said
tried
no.
to kill somebody.
No, you won't. You'll be
All right, so back to the point.
Retired.
Yeah, back to
somewhere
the point
quietly.
I was trying to lead you to. So one of the biggest problems they were that a lot of them I've heard said this was about the boat people, about immigration.
Yeah.
Right. Do you know why? Anyway, no, it's not. Do you know why? Do you know what I think? Why you haven't heard the Labour Party said one?
They said specifically small boats. It was a complete copy.
All right. Do you know why I think that the Labour Party hasn't said anything about immigration or small boats or what have you?
No, I don't really know. I don't know.
It's the same like Brexit. It's a big lie. It's a big lie. We have not got a problem
No, no.
with
Of course it's not.
immigrants coming across with boat. In
Yeah.
fact, it's an
There's no
advantage. If you listen to the
They could be picking fruit at the moment, or working as care workers. And because a short training course, they could be
Right.
and they'd probably be very, very good at it.
so the Labour Party,
Especially as many of them are highly educated. They'd be very good at it. You know, I mean, if they got a chance of going to college or university, right? They'd be right at the top. I remember in the working men's college, all the migrants and asylum seekers studied day and night and were very quiet, and they were in terror of not passing. They were the kind of they should have the Thatcher's Award for Industry because they were the entrepreneurs. Which is a horrible, stupid word. I'm saying it tongue in cheek because I don't like the word. But if a word does exist, they were the people who are them. In fact, I'm surprised that Hollywood hasn't made a film about migrants crossing over the world and going and fighting crocodiles, right? And like Putin, who never fought a bear, right? Actually fighting bears, and actually the real cowboy film, right? Were the way these migrants who ran through barbed wire, right, over the Hungarian border, and they dodged they dodged bullets of in northern Iraq when the war was going on. They dealt with all sorts of situations, and there's no film made about them, right? And they didn't, and none of them said, fight. None of them said that.
do you know what? Do you know what I think? The Labour,
Even in Pashto, I don't know what would it be in Pashtun. Say, let's make this word up. Durga, right? Durga.
oi. Party.
Ding hoi.
All right. So what anyway, the Labour Party's strategy, what I think is this, is that they are not talking about the migrants thing, right? The same, and they're not even, no one's talking about it in the Labour Party.
Yeah, because but the thing is, because they're liberal, right? They know
Because
they know that it's not really a problem.
yeah,
In fact, they know it's a bonus, because if you just listen to any more intelligent type of conversations, like the BBC World Service, you can hear that Britain, like many of the advanced Western countries, which includes Japan and Germany, right, have huge labor shortages of young people, and in Italy as well, actually, even though they have a far right government, they have a shortage of people, right? And actually, migrants would help them. It's only Canada that takes a rational policy, and they're doing quite well because many of these countries can deal with the migrants, the same migrants that came over in the Windrush to fill the post-war issues. Actually, but this is rational, and the point is, right, in countries like Japan, where they desperately need migrants because of their elderly population, but because of the deeply inbuilt racism they've had, which has probably come from Emperor Hirohito onwards, right? They don't want foreigners, even foreigners that are from Korea and China and Indonesia,
Yeah.
who look exactly like them,
Yeah.
because this medieval ideology, right? If you, I remember listening to something on Radio 4. They were talking about how there were these pogrom riots, right? Like we've just seen, right? In 1150
Mm.
in York,
Mm.
there was race riots, but they were anti-Jewish riots,
Mm.
right? And they massacred a lot of Jewish people, right, who were brought over by I think William the Conqueror with him because they were quite good at finance, right? And they were used as scapegoats,
Mm.
right? When the economy took a nosedive and they found themselves getting poorer, and there were peasant mobs were driven to go and attack them, right? Because one of the kings, right, um, of some area or other, Northumberland or something, wanted to take his cousin's throne, but then they actually put a stop to it by massacring the rioters, right, and restoring order.
So what I think the Labour Party is going to do about the boat thing is they're going to.
1140 pogroms,
All right. So what the
which
Labour.
also happened in Tsarist Russia against Jewish people, and happened all around the world at all times of history. But it's a particularly medieval tactic.
Yeah, being used today. So what the Labour Party is going to do, I reckon, is that they're going to keep quiet, and eventually they're going to tell the people we actually need them. In fact, in certain corners, you can actually hear that,
A very intelligent thing to do.
right? But what they're going to do is leave a certain amount of time. It's a time thing, you know that kicking it in the long grass kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? So it's going to be a time
Well,
thing. Making sure.
How the thing is, they're scared of Murdoch and they're scared of the right wing press. The right wing press are very medieval, and the right wing press will attack any government, however left of centre or liberal they are,
Yeah.
right? Anything, even right of centre, if they're rational, because the right wing press in Britain, led by the Sun and the Daily Mail, are hyper racist and hyper xenophobic,
Yeah.
more than racist, more than I think that they're actually I think that their xenophobia is their bread and butter now.
Like I said,
Populism, they call it.
these radio presenters, these TV stations has to be shut down, and those newspapers as well, right? Because look what they
TV
caused.
News.
Yeah, look what they've caused, right? Look what they've instigated.
But listen, I think they will actually just go broke.
They are actually broke.
They're broke. Yes,
They're running on empty,
they're running on empty.
right? They're running on empty.
And also, their viewing figures are going down.
What was interesting about Elon Musk was that they was during his, I think his broadcast with Tommy Many Names,
So, you know,
Right.
Tommy Yaxley,
right?
Tom-
They said a lot of
Yaxley Lennon.
high-profile advertisers had their ads coming up during that broadcast or associated with that tag. And
I wouldn't be surprised if the boycott against X, formerly Twitter, right, Twitter X, has not actually started already and will gain momentum. Just like the divestments into Israel, there will be a massive boycott of X.
All right.
And I think that the advertisers, when they see that's happening, the big advertisers
Yeah.
of X
Yeah.
will start pulling money out
yeah, but
of X.
how do you square this circle, right? That 40,000 people being killed in Gaza, people being killed there every day. Zero has been said officially,
Zero's been said. Yes,
right?
nothing.
Right, nothing's been
A bit of hand wringing, a little bit of what a shame.
right. The people who are propagating,
It's in fact, it's like the people who say, really, you shouldn't you shouldn't actually round up stray dogs. That's the way they're talking about them like that. they're giving them less coverage than a European or a white American who's murdered by some schizophrenic or psychotic. They give them less importance.
Right, but still,
They're
this
brown colour
this
skin.
belief in Santa Claus, this belief in the tooth fairy, they're still propagating, just like the boat thing, just like Brexit.
Yes, it
It's
is.
a false, but the
False
but
narrative.
the people.
Yes, and it's not, and until they have a ceasefire in
Gaza.
Gaza, Palestine, right, and a two-state solution, the international racism, which is propagated by the Western ruling classes, and other ruling classes too, will actually feed back into the racism. They might be against interpersonal racism. It might be you see, it might be very it might be that that hooligan, right, who likes to use the N word can be seen as terrible, but 60,000 Arab dark-skinned Arab human beings, right, many of them children and women, can be labelled Hamas and murdered. So maybe it's possible that instead of using the N word, the football thugs can turn around and call somebody Hamas, and then they'd be allowed to actually beat them up or worse.
Today is a pivotal day.
Yeah.
Today is a pivotal day because it might be the beginning
Yeah,
of.
all this Hamas coming over in small boats and take you over. One day we'll all have to eat kebabs, and they'll come over here and we're all wearing your jobs.
Now, the reason why today is a pivotal day is because it's going to be the beginning of the end of the world.
What?
Today is a pivotal day. It's going to be the beginning of the end of the world. Now, ask me how do I work that out? Thank you. Let me show you a Venn diagram. Today, all right. So if you've gone and killed Hamas leader, and what's the other group? Hezbollah, and you do it in the land of Iran, in their territory, and you expect what? And America is saying
Retaliation.
Before we even get there, America is saying, Britain is saying to Iran, don't hit back. Why did you not tell Israel in the first place, do not go and kill Hamas and Hezbollah?
For some reason, the Western governments, right, as well as the Israel was useful in the Cold War as a bulwark against communism and an aircraft carrier to protect the oil in the Middle East and that. But there seems to be now a kind of fetish about Israel that Israel seems to be sort of reified as a kind of new a religion of all Western politicians. It seems to be like a holy cow. You know, everything Israel says and does is wonderful.
All right, we got.
It's not rational anymore.
So today,
it's complete madness. Benjamin, everyone knows.
Did you say complete madness?
Complete madness.
Didn't I tell you it's the beginning of the end of the world?
Well, I can't take. I can. If I don't use my humour to lessen that, right, make myself feel better, I'll go mad myself, because how can I take something like that in? How can I take that and just stay sane?
All right. So
how can I take it?
We're waiting for Iran for the Big Bang. But here's the second Big Bang. Ukraine has taken about 100 miles of Russian territory. What do you think Mr. Putin's going to do? He's got the second most of the most powerful missiles, bombs.
We need a ceasefire in Ukraine. We need a ceasefire in Palestine. We need a ceasefire in Sudan. We need ceasefires all around the world. And what we need is the capitalists to pay much more wealth tax, right, and redistribute it so that people are not suffering and so embittered.
What do they? What was one of the nicknames for
It's a
Russia?
peace. It's called a. We need something. During the end of the Cold War, we were talked about a peace dividend. The Western governments talked about a peace dividend. Now, an end to any or all of these conflicts, right? And I'm fantasizing now. We'll give a peace
Wake
dividend.
up, wake up.
We'll give a peace dividend. The peace dividend.
So what did they call Russia before? They
Because
called
weapons cost a lot of money.
yeah. Didn't they call
Israel is actually broke. They're running on empty because of the
they've
money
been
they spend on
subsidized.
weapons.
Yeah.
They're being subsidized.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's coming from the British and American and French taxpayers.
Do you know what they call a British and American company?
An Israeli company.
No, VAT. VAT is actually British American Tobacco,
Tobacco.
which is one of
VAT.
them. I don't know if they still exist. But back to the end of the world.
Ah,
And back to
VAT, that's where you get the word batshit from. British American tobacco shit.
and now
Sorry about that.
now everybody's on vape. Everyone's
I
on
mean,
vape.
I mean excrement.
And everyone's on vape now
Huh?
because there's a subsidy. Look around you. Everyone. But back to doomsday scenario, right?
Yeah.
So you have rattled the Great Bear, right? And here's the other.
Well, you see, the thing is, they lost 20 million people fighting the German Nazis, and they were really on their own. I mean, and however horrible Stalin was, the world was done a massive favor by that sacrifice, right, of Russian working class people who actually gave their lives to actually defeat Hitler.
Yeah.
Defeat German. Well, yeah,
Hitler.
really Hitler. Yeah, because Hitler was in charge of Germany, right? Yeah.
All right.
I mean, the Weimar Republic was quite peaceful. So we don't really. I'm trying to avoid the nation versus nation business.
Well, it's exactly that. So
I'm more happier when I'm dealing with class.
you just rattled the Great Bear, right? With the second most powerful set of weaponry in the world.
I think the first. I think I looked at the statistics, and I think that even Russia today has a few more nuclear weapons than the United States. Quite surprising.
And listen to and let's add this to it. So I heard today officially Ukraine can use British weapons in the territory of Russia,
Well,
which makes you an official enemy.
yeah, but you see, Kennedy didn't want Russian missiles to be stationed in Cuba because that was near to America. So, and any country that either attacked or supported an invasion of the United States would be in serious trouble.
But America,
I mean, for instance, if Cuban soldiers were to land in Florida, ooh, that would be very painful. Or Russian soldiers were to land in California, or Venezuelan soldiers were to come some Venezuelan Marines were to come ashore in Texas. This would be very serious.
and what and
And we
they
wouldn't
done
have any news. We wouldn't have any news about anything else.
and isn't that the reverse of what they've done with Russia?
Yeah, well, it's complete hypocrisy. I mean, the hypocrisy starts with Israel, and every other hypocrisy follows.
So
Complete hypocrisy.
not only are we waiting for Iran for a big bang from Iran, we're waiting for a big bang from Putin. What do you think he's going to do?
Well,
You said the most powerful
there-
weapon
there's
nation.
there's so many bangs. There'll be, even if there's, it could either be one or two big bangs, or it could be so many little bangs that they add up to a big bang. But all these bangs, and you
Are
know,
driving me crazy.
yes, and driving me crazy too. Well, I'm trying. Look, my head can't get around it. It's terrifying. But You see,
Exactly. It's
I-
the beginning
you
of the
know,
end of the world.
well, you? I mean, if I start screaming,
Yeah.
right, and you've got to put me in a straitjacket, right, this will be the end of our podcast.
No.
Well,
I'll get the most amount of hits ever because
I'm
these insane things is what gets you viewers,
you viewers, yes.
right? And they will cut it, and then it'll be TikTok, and it'll be on X, and it'll go viral around the world. You know, it's very hard, right? So
The only thing that would get me probably more hits than that is if I took my pants down and start whipping myself.
no, then you get shot when you talk about hits. You get shot or tasered. All right.
It might be worth it.
Right, so we got two world wars right on our doorstep. We're involved in both of them,
Mhm.
right? And we just went. Today is meant to be.
Well, the BBC World Service this morning was talking about the massive, genocide happening in Sudan with these two mad generals.
What's that got to do with the fucking two wars? You
Two
see,
wars.
you see this
Yeah,
thing
they're more
about
powerful,
you see
yeah.
this thing about deflection,
Deflection, yeah.
right? So all the years this war has been going on,
No.
right? Why didn't they focus it? Why didn't they focus on it?
Well, they can't be without. I think the main problem is the Israel-Palestine problem, and other things will follow. Start the ceasefire there, number one, right, and then move on.
There's
to
no
Ukraine and
ceasefire,
move on to other
right?
places.
And there's a hot war building and a hot war building. I'll tell you what they're doing. They're doing a Boris Johnson. They're walking into the fridge and they're hiding in the fridge. They're going, no. They go, no. Look over there. Look. You see this war in Africa,
Yeah.
right?
Unfortunately, you're right.
They go, look at them
Look at them. Yeah.
folks in Africa fighting. Yeah. La.
Okay.
We're about to
Yeah.
enter what do they call us that? Rebellion extinction. We're
Well,
back.
actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a finger in that, in even the Sudanese civil war. They probably got a finger everywhere. I mean, whether it's Bangladesh or God knows where, or
Actually, what happened in Bangladesh? He had to resign.
well, the Awami League, which started out as the sort of liberation forces, they used that name to actually become corrupt and keep holding power and get rid of democracy.
Did you reckon?
The Sheikh Hasina.
Did you reckon what's the play behind it? Can you see any play behind it?
Well,
Some
I think it
superpower
was
play?
I think it was a genuine uprising from working class students, and I think it was a genuine uprising. But the play might come later when they go to choose the next election. Then because there might be some superficial tidbits handed out to the people. There's bound to be some changes, and they're always a good thing because I'm not a nihilist. I think there'll be some progressive movements going forward. But I think that the students and the other left parties in Bangladesh need to be very, very careful that another trick is not used against them. Maybe they'll use the Islamist card. There's a kind of sort of like Islamic version of Tommy Robinson.
See,
They might start. Yeah, maybe they'll start to attack the Hindu minority or something.
Yeah.
There's dirty tricks might be used.
And I think superpowers are playing the game. They're pulling
Of
the strings.
course.
Yeah. All right, back to the rioters and the boat people and the people being sentenced. Do you believe there's a two-tier policing system? And let me just add to that. Have you heard the news today? You know the Metropolitan Police has been in special needs. Has that hit the news today for the last 2 years? Actually, let's go back to the two-tier policing system.
Yes, but I don't want to use Nigel Farage's made-up word. It's just that I don't like to use the word politically correct or woke on it. I don't want to use the word that they've thrown for me to use. So then we have to talk about based on their word. Two-tier. Where does it come from? There's always been discrimination in favour of the rich, in favour of white, in favour of males, in favour of heterosexuals, in favour of people that have privilege, right? If you know your intersectionality,
I tell you what the
there's always
problem.
been that.
I tell you.
But this word, this
I tell
idiotic
you what
word
the
too,
problem is with those white rioters when the police came to arrest them. They just realized their white privilege has been revoked.
yes, well, it would be. Well, Irish,
So
right?
they call him fell.
But but in the 1970s, right? It wasn't only black people who were going to jail in their droves, but Irish who were white. So they're Irish, white Irish, working class, but all the poor, not the rich Irish. They're probably in Switzerland at this moment, right? But the poor Irish, right? Who were asked to come over to work a long time before Enoch Powell was even ever born, was were actually stigmatized have had their white privilege revoked for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And during the Brexit campaign, Polish and Romanians had their white privilege revoked because racism is a strange word because it's concocted. Jewish people had their white privilege revoked in Nazi Germany.
All right, and let me apply.
They were white.
Yeah.
Somehow people forget this, and it was a racist theory. It was called the racial theory.
Someone's teaching this stuff somewhere.
Racial theory.
Someone's teaching that stuff somewhere. It's not Bannon. Who is it? Where is it? Where is this critical race theory?
It started. Racism, right? Started, I think, in Oxford or Cambridge, in one of the universities. When like pseudoscience, they weren't real scientists, but started measuring the skulls of people, right? And this was at the time of the slave rebellions, and maybe after Haiti and Toussaint Louverture, when and also there were a lot of reformists who were against slavery, and they would, and to keep their profits, they came up with this idea that black people were less than white people, and so that started the ball rolling, and it's taken many forms. About it's taken this pseudoscience, right, scientific racism. You can there are books about it.
I remember it.
Study back in the university.
I remember it well. All right, last subject. Did you hear about this thing called Mpox, which is called monkeypox?
Yes, it could become another Ebola, quite serious.
So what do you know about it? What have you heard?
Well, it's another zoonotic. It started off zoonotic, and now it's transmitted sexually. I don't know much about it. It's more than that. So I'm not a chemist or a scientist. I don't know.
So the World Health WHO.
It's related to smallpox or something.
Right. Now, do you know how long ago they knew about monkeypox?
Oh, probably a long time ago.
All right, they knew about monkeypox towards the end of the virus, the lockdown in that we had, right? So that's about 2 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a world warning now that this could spread. Here's what. How long do they take them to get a vaccine for the COVID-19?
About a year.
You know how long they've known about this monkeypox for about 2 years, 2.5 years, right? Why haven't they got a vaccine?
Because they're not interested in Africa. It's not a very wealthy country. It's a very wealthy country, but it's not. It's not wealthy because it's exploited them, and they've stolen most of the things that are there that could have made them wealthy, and they're using that plus maybe the skin color as well into the mix for all sorts of discriminations, both capitalist economic discriminations and maybe irrational ones like skin color. They're not interested in. They're not interested in South America, Asia, and the poorer parts of Asia and Africa, especially the poorer parts of Africa, for the same reasons, for a variety of discriminations. So they're not focused on that.
Now, if we were,
They wouldn't let monkeypox last for 5 seconds if it was in Switzerland
they should have had
or Norway.
yeah,
No, they wouldn't allow. It wouldn't. They would have a vaccine within 5 months.
and this monkeypox, they should have had a vaccine a year
Yeah.
or so ago. When actually,
Well,
from 2 years ago, when
Well,
they
and the same with Ebola. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I think Ebola could have been stopped before, even before it got started with a vaccine. You see?
and what's happened to Ebola?
I don't know. I really don't hear about it. Is it still there, or is it minimal? I don't know. I don't know. I must say, I don't know.
I do know there was a nurse who came back, and she was actually treated up in the Whittington,
Well,
not once but twice. You know,
was that at the time?
that was at the time.
Yeah.
And
Well, I don't know what's happened now. It could be. It could either be eradicated or it could be brought down to a more minor illness like COVID's been, or a more minor.
all right, so let me kind of conclude on the two wars.
But there's another problem there in that area of Congo, right? There's been a lot of wars going on over their raw materials. They've been, and those people are very desperately poor. So, illnesses flourish in very poor parts of the world.
Have you heard the rumors that they usually test out their viruses and stuff in places like that, and they see
I-
how it spreads?
I have. I don't want to go down that road. I'll let you do it, but I don't know. No, because I don't want to go into fantasy land and conspiracy land. It's an easy thing to do, and I try to avoid doing it. You might be right, but you might not be. You see what I mean? But you can say it, and I'll listen to what you're saying. I'm always open to all sorts of ideas,
All right.
but I'm wary
So
of conspiracy.
so in our next broadcast next week, we might be doing it from heaven. We're waiting for two big bangs to go off.
Big banks.
One's from Iran, because everyone's waiting for a reply. And this time, look, what they did was it the 4th of October or 7th of October? Yeah? That attack.
It was very stupid.
No, listen. That was a complete and utter surprise, right? Surprise to everybody in the world. How do you know what Iran, Hezbollah, and the other? How do you know they're not planning a similar surprise?
Well,
Actually, you don't.
I think the Israeli Netanyahu government are really deluding themselves that they're some kind of superhumans, like the Waffen SS thought they were superhumans. I mean, they didn't think when they invaded Poland that it would end up in the occupation of Berlin, 1945. They actually think they actually believed their own self-importance, that they were superhumans and they could conquer the world, and that these silly dark-skinned Arabs, they are, they are living their loincloths, and they can't read and write, and they don't know what they're doing, and it's the greatest self-delusion they have, and pride comes before a fall. So it's very dangerous thinking, but we've been through this in history again and again and again.
And how do you think Putin's gonna react from being embarrassed with the invasions there and all the?
I don't know. How
And
do you think? I don't know.
It's gonna be the end of the world, and it's goodbye from him.
And it from me.
It might not be a next week.
Yeah.
You haven't read the Well,
You haven't come
to Norway